and the filmmakers of the brilliant film you just saw. So up first, please help me welcome here Mr. Robert Eggers, the co-writer and director of LIGHTHOUSE. Next up, if you please, we will have one of the stars, Mr. Willem Dafoe. Robert Pattinson. Gentlemen, first of all, everyone in this audience right now, I've been where you are, where you're just like, what was this batshit thing I just saw? It's brilliant, but what did I see? So, Robert, I'm gonna start with you because you made this batshit thing and it's brilliant, but I wonder, like, what about it, because you wrote it with your brother, and the fact that you guys are doing a lot of flatulence, two guys living in a room, kind of, maybe they don't like each other, and masturbation, I just feel like there's some childhood stuff you're working out for this one. I'm gonna guess.
No. Max and I get along very well, but because I'm older, I definitely was the Dafoe to his Pattinson for sure. But you know, we've never been lighthouse keepers on a 19th century lighthouse station, so there's a lot of research involved. But you know, there are certain autobiographical things that you have to put into any piece in order for it to work. And it was really when I was working in the dregs of the New York indie film world that I was often in, you know, sleeping in close quarters with flatulent colleagues.
Yeah, anyone that's ever shared a room unwillingly, I feel your pain. The next thing I want to ask you, because you talked about the research of it, the film is so detailed. It is just, I don't know how to put it, just incredibly vivid and vibrant, and every frame feels like it has thought and intention behind it, and I know that's not by accident, and I know that it's in the DNA of the script. So what was the research process? And I want you to talk particularly about the painter I know that you pulled a lot from. There was a painter that you guys kind of gave your research to?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I've said before, there's a lot of, it's easy to research lighthouses, and because people like lighthouses, so there's tons of books available. And also, thankfully, unlike The Witch, photography had been invented in the 19th century, so there was lots of photographic evidence to recreate the physical and material world. But you know, my process and my brother's process on this movie is so research-based that anything can help tell the story and inspire a scene. So, you know, in the manual, the Lighthouse Keeper's manual that Robert's character mentions and it reads in the book, you know, talks about how many rations of salt cod and beans they're supposed to have. That can inspire a scene. How you're supposed to clean the cistern in that manual can inspire a scene. But as we're looking at so many different things, like Melville, for example, because it's New England and the 19th century nautical setting, he's inspiring stuff, which made us realize that Defoe's sea spells are going to have allusions to classical mythology. And from classical mythology, that starts leading us into symbolist painting, which starts leading us into like Jean Delville and Arnold Buckland and Sasha Schneider. Is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a I trying to, as best I can, take my influences and digest them through some alchemical process into something new. But in the image where Dafoe is, spoiler alert, naked and you know, shining his light into Rob's eyes, there was no alchemical process there. I was pretty much stealing that from an image by the symbolist painter Sasha Schneider, but it was too good of an image not to use.
If you guys cannot tell by listening to him go into that, just the details of that's the reason why, like, you watch this film and it feels like a documentary. It doesn't even feel like a narrative fiction or a period piece. And Willem, I know that's, you know, part of the reason why you were attracted to work with Robert, but the thing I think you have, like, a hardest time with is the language, because that can go cartoonish so quickly and poorly, but I know you guys had a guide for that in your research. So yeah, talk about finding the voice.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, one of the beautiful things when I first read the script was that language, because it's very rare in a movie that you get to play with elevated language like that, poetic language, antiquated language, full of slang and really juicy images. So that became very important. Of course, you have to learn how to, I had to find the rhythm, I had to find the music, because really the meaning is expressed through the music. So you've got to practice that to find out what it is, and then you got to make it like it's normal speech, because you don't want it to disconnect from the story and become like a party piece or a show-off thing, you know? It can't disconnect, so it has to still function in our conversation as if this is the way we talk, which is a tricky thing, but it's beautiful, because it's just like when an actor uses a mask. Sometimes when you use something artificial, it lets out something that you could possibly not release without that mask. So it becomes a weird kind of device and another way to reach a deeper kind of communication. The writing's very good for me. I mean, I like it a lot, and the images are so evocative. So that puts you in a whole world. You get a sense of it when I'm just listening to him now talk about his research. Imagine being immersed in that and having him give you all that material. You start to enter a world, and then you experience it physically. Then you deal with this language. It takes you further and further away from yourself, and then you have these things to do. You have an experience. You have an experience that you learn something, and you have a shift of how you think and how you feel, and that's really powerful. And then hopefully that'll be transparent enough that the audience will feel that experience that is happening. So for an actor to be in a situation with a director like this that is so articulate, so rigorous, and is so connected to another time is very cool.
And
yeah.
And you know, the three of us in the film at large, we're lucky to have Dafoe playing this character, because his dialect and accent is very researched. But like, you know, in the hands of someone else, it is the sea captain from The Simpsons or Grandpa Dog from Peppa Pig, and it takes, you know, Dafoe to make you believe the reality of this very researched thing.
Luckily, I've never seen those things. Otherwise, I would be pissing myself while I did it.